So the first thing I just want to show you is that when you go to install clustering for the first time, you're going to see roles and you're going to see features. So if you click under features, you will see failover clustering here. So failover clustering is a feature because we make roles highly available. We're infrastructure, which makes printing highly available, which makes file services highly available. So we're a feature. So it's kind of the differentiation between some of these features and roles here. So once you get the feature installed and look for the new name, then you can open our failover cluster management tool. And so here you'll see this. The first thing you ever do when you get to this main page is you're going to see this validated configuration. So this is the very first thing you do when you create a cluster. So you launch validated configuration, and our wizard's going to pop up. And you just enter in the nodes that are going to be members of the cluster. And then you have your choice of what tests you want to run. You can run all the tests, or you can just run a subset of the tests. And then you can choose which of those tests you want to run, and then you can run them. I'm actually going to skip running them right now. It takes, we'll run, I'll just skip the storage tests. They're the time-consuming ones. We'll go ahead and run this. And it goes ahead and run. The storage ones are a little more time-consuming. They might take, I've got about, it might take 15, 20 minutes for the storage test to run. Because remember what it's doing is it's failing over the disk for each individual node. It's going and arbitrating and fighting for them. So the more nodes you have and the more disks you have, the more time it takes to go verify each individual disk, and each one works with each node. So that's what influences the timing of running validate. Other than that, as you can see, I'm running these tests and they're executing pretty quickly, and they're done. And that's all there is to it. So when you're done, you can just look at the output report here, or you can click this View Report button. Let me show you actually where the file is. So if I go under My Computer, if I go under the Windows directory, if I go into the cluster directory, I'm going to see this reports. So now on a 2008 cluster, all of the logs that might be generated during the life of a cluster are all saved in this reports directory. So let me go ahead and open one of these. And you can see you have these validation reports and then the timestamp on which you ran validate. So I can go ahead and open this up, and I can see it's a nice little HTML file, easy to consume, easy to take a look at and figure out what's the status of validate. So you can see I have success, which says everything was great, passed, no problems. You can see I have warnings which say I found something which doesn't necessarily align with our best practices. Clustering will still work and it will still be supported, but you should go take a look at this and see if this is right. It may be perfectly fine for your configuration, but you need to make that decision. So if I go click on this link, it's an HTML page, so it just brings me to more details, and here I can see it has more details into what failed. It says, oh, you only have one NIC in each node. So this is just a test cluster that I have. I only have one NIC. Cluster works okay, but this isn't exactly something I would deploy in production because there is a single point of failure. So let me go back up to the top. And let's take a look at another test here. So if I go under Validate Active Directory Configuration, you can see different attributes that we verify. So one of the requirements for a cluster is all the nodes have to be in a domain. So one thing we check, are the nodes a member of domain? If they're not, we're going to generate a hard stop failure and say, no, this isn't supported, not a supported configuration here. Another thing we're going to check, are they members of the same domain? And then another thing we check is like, what OU are the nodes in? And we just output that. Now, if you have nodes in different OUs, you can have different group policies applied. So that might not be, you could have inconsistent behavior and failover. So we'll generate as a warning, well, hey, we noticed nodes are in different OUs. It's okay, but maybe you should go take a look at it and just make sure everything's good. Here's the new cluster management console we talked about. It's a Real 3.0 MMC, which you can use for creating different roles to be highly available. And so now everything is a little different. So we've changed around our concept of creating all these resources and everything independent. We now have this concept of services and applications. What do you manage? What are you controlling? So you just right-click and you go configure a service or application for high availability. And our wizard comes up that's going to guide you through making something highly available. It can be something such as DHCP, WINS, print servers, file servers, or even virtual machines. You can take Hyper-V virtual machines and make them highly available on a failover cluster. So if we go here to make a highly available file server, what does it take? So let's make a highly available file server. What's the name that clients are going to use just to connect to this? You notice it doesn't. And then what are the shares where I'm going to put these shares? Let's put them here on this volume. And then I'm just going to go ahead and create it. So that was it. 3 simple tasks. It says, what do you want to make? I'm going to make a highly available file server. Second thing is, what's the name clients are going to use to connect to this? So here's my name. And then the third thing is, what's the storage? Where are these file shares going to reside? And that is it, and it's just that simple. So now if you look, it's kind of done all the work for me. I have IP address resources, I have network name resources, I have physical disk is in there where the volume is going to reside. So if I go in here under computer, I can see now, I can see all my cluster disks, so I can see which ones are highly available. So I can easily go and just pick one of these disks. So this one's on node 1, so let's just pick a different one here. Here is a one on this node, so we'll just do this. So let's just pick like disk J. And so I'm just going to create a new share. And I can just right click on it and go share, and it will share out the folder. And you can see now it has the proper path. And if I go into the failover cluster management, I can see there's my share. So you can see we're totally hooked into the service that when we're creating shares, we will detect if it's a clustered volume and do